Okay, so cool. So so let's get started with Amplify. And okay, so about me, I am Prithviraj Singh Solanki. I am the co-organizer of I'm the organizer of AWS User Group Indore. I have done so many certifications in AWS, like certified security specialist, solution architect associate. I'm AWS Educate Ambassador also earlier, done Kubernetes administrator certification also, and associate solution architect associate also. I have 2 years of experience working as a DevOps engineer and in cloud technologies. So let's get started. So for today's agenda is first to understand what is AWS Amplify, next to understand the benefits of using AWS Amplify, third to understand how it works, and then we'll go for a small hands-on session. Okay, so what is Amplify? So AWS Amplify is a complete solution or a service that is offered by AWS. So with using Amplify, you can build and ship and host full stack web application with least efforts. Within few hours, you can develop your application and host using AWS Amplify. So what Amplify offers you is actually Amplify offers so many benefits, like it is a full stack web development solution. So obviously you do not have to provision any server, or you do not have to do any kind of configuration like configuring a web server such as Apache, Nginx or something. And also you do not need to worry about installing your application libraries such as npm or node packages or any other packages that is useful for proper functioning of your web application. Amplify does this entire thing for you. And then using Amplify using Amplify does not require very much cloud expertise. You can get started easily with Amplify by just following the AWS documentation, and it offers also flexibility. So as and when needed, as and when your use case evolve, you can directly integrate those. You can directly integrate those things. Okay. Okay, is my screen is visible, or is there any issue or something? Pratik, is everything is fine?
Yes, the screen is visible.
So okay, cool, fine. So yeah, so it also offers, Amplify also offers so flexibility means, for example, let's say you have a web application and you are building a web application, and you want to you would want to integrate a authentication system, or you want to introduce an authentication system to your Amplify application. So traditionally normally in traditional applications, what we do, we write a entire logic of how to handle the authentication, how to authenticate a user, how to send a verification email, how to do these kind of things. So it takes a time, it takes days of time. So but in Amplify, AWS Amplify offers pre-built UI components, and it integrates easily with AWS Cognitive Service. So you can easily build authentication workflows, and you can easily integrate it with the other AWS services such as AppSync or DynamoDB as well. So as and when your use case evolve, you can directly integrate those AWS services with the Amplify. Okay, and then Amplify also offers CI/CD, which is continuous integration, continuous development. So with no any additional configuration. So what Amplify do is, when you deploy an Amplify application, so what it simply create for you, it simply deploys a CI/CD which is fully managed CI/CD. So you do not have to worry about writing Jenkins pipeline or integrating any other service, or writing YAML files or something like that. So you do not need to worry about writing your pipeline configuration, deploying it. Amplify does this for you automatically. So so that's a kind of a magic that Amplify do, and that's a kind of a change and flexibility, reliability, and agility that Amplify bring to developers life. Okay, so how it works actually? So Amplify is consist of set of components such as Amplify Studio. So Amplify offers Amplify Studio, which you can use to develop your own components. Like what you can do is you can directly create components in Figma. You can directly import your components to the Amplify Studio. Using Amplify Studio, you can do data modeling, you can add authentication, you can add like you can create database models, you can create database tables easily, map the relationship using GUI. So it offers great flexibility. So it works like that. And then Amplify also offers CLI. So Amplify CLI actually helps you to add. So Amplify okay uh, so Amplify CLI offers adding authentication, and with Amplify CLI, you can directly integrate and add APIs and those things. So what Amplify do? You can directly using Amplify CLI commands, you can just type command Amplify add API, Amplify add authentication, or Amplify add data store. So you can add this. You can use this kind of commands just to integrate your other AWS applications and other interact with your Amplify application. So is my full screen is visible, or is there any issue with that? Pratik, could you please confirm? So is it visible to you? Fine. So Amplify offers web hosting. That is, you do not need to manage the web hosting, and you do not need to directly manage the web hosting, or like in traditional environments. What you do, you provision a server, you deploy, you do update your operating system, you deploy, you upgrade your packages, you install nginx, Apache or something, and then you install in runtime environments such as JavaScript or Python or Django, whatever we call. So you typically manage all these things at your end. But what Amplify do is Amplify web hosting is a managed. And so what Amplify do, when you deploy an application, it looks at your package.json file. It reads that, and it identifies that what kind of version, what kind of application framework you are using. So and then it install all those dependencies for you without you need to manage them by yourself. And also Amplify offers libraries which are open source and client side libraries, which you can directly use. And then Amplify also offers some pre-built UI components, okay, uh, that you can use to build your application, your application with no efforts or less efforts. So Amplify supports integration with various languages and frameworks such as reactjs, Flutter, Vue.js, Android, and other JavaScript such as Angular or other JavaScript frameworks. Going forward, so let's get our hands dirty and do a hands-on session on that. Okay. So we'll do the hands-on session by creating a React app, and then we initialize the Amplify with React app, and then we create resources, and then we deploy the application with Amplify. Okay, fine. Okay, so So let me share my terminal window. Let me get back to my terminal window. Okay, so fine. So we'll first create an application, which is a React application. So we'll type command npx create React app. So demo amplify app. So it is now created it is now creating the React application. So once after creating the React application, we will integrate it with the Amplify. So cd okay. So cd. Okay, so we are in our React app. So we will first start it just using npm start command. So okay. Okay, so it is compiled successfully. Let me share. Let me present you how it actually looks now. So this is our basic React app that we created, and going forward, we will integrate this application with the Amplify. Okay. So to do that, what we will do, we will just do Amplify. So first, let me take you to the AWS documentation. So this is the Amplify official documentation that we will use to set up our Amplify application. So what we will do, we will first install the Amplify npm install -g CLI. So this will install the Amplify package. This will install the Amplify CLI in our React app. Okay, so it requires sudo permissions. So it will install all the Amplify required libraries or backend libraries that we need to integrate it with the Amplify. Okay. So I don't know what that is. So in the meantime, it is installing. We will, after this step, we will configure using Amplify configure command. And okay, so then we need to create a user and assign it with permissions, and then we will be ready to start. Okay. Okay. It is taking a bit of time. Okay. Okay, so it has installed all the required packages. Okay, so what we will do going forward, we will okay, so let's look first at the package.json, cat package.json. So yeah, so just a minute. I think there is some issue. It is not installed yet. We will try to again install it. So in the meantime, what we will do is we'll create a GitHub repository so that we can host our Amplify application here. So let me create a demo app repository. So what we will do after once we create our Amplify application, we will then upload our code to the GitHub repository, and then we will connect the GitHub repository with the uh, Amplify app. Okay, so I think it has installed. So what we will do, we will just type amplify configure command. So this will configure. Okay, so it is take me to the UI. Let me share my screen. So okay, so once we type this command, that is amplify configure, it will directly take me to the AWS console. Here what we will do, following this documentation, we will go ahead and create a user. Okay, so following this documentation, we will go ahead and we will create the user as per mentioned in these steps. So what we will do, we will go to the IAM, and then we will create a user for Amplify. So for the time being, I'm going to add a user, that is demo user. Okay, fine. So next, set permissions. I'm not adding the user to any group. I'm just attaching the policies directly. So what I'll do, I'll attach the managed Amplify administrator policy. Okay, and then we will create a user. After creating the user, I'll do view user. Going forward, then I'll create access keys. Okay, so we have created the access key. So first okay, then it is asking me for region. Okay, I think I created the user, so for now I can just directly configure, and then I enter continue, and then I select the region. Okay, this okay, so I have my user already. So what I'll do, okay, let me do one thing. Okay, AWS configure. So I missed a step actually. So instead of creating the user from the console, I'm creating the user directly from the CLI. So it is asking me for access ID. So once we create this user, we will have the access ID with us. Okay, fine. So I have this access ID. I'll paste it here, and then I have this access ID, access key ID, secret access key. I paste it here, and then I add the profile name. So it is profile name is for identification your credential in local environment. So I added the profile name. After that, we have configured the user for Amplify locally, and then we will set up the app. Okay, so for that, the first command is amplify init. This will initialize a project in our local environment. So I'll do the amplify init. So what it will do, so before doing the amplify init, let me show you one thing. There is no any amplify project, amplify folder right now. It is just a basic React app. Once we do the amplify init, what it will do, it will create an amplify folder. So let's do amplify init. Okay, so it is asking me to create enter the name of the project. So I'm not entering the name of the project as of now because it is already taken this demo amplify app. Going forward, it is asking me to initialize a project with above configuration. It shows a configuration. Amplify CLI shows a configuration that is your name. The environment is dev. Default editor is Visual Studio Code. Application type is JavaScript. JavaScript framework is React. And then it is asking me for some basic information. So I say yes. And then going forward, it is asking me for the AWS profile. So what I can do, I can directly add access keys here that we have created a user earlier, demo user. So what you can do, you can create a user for yours earlier, and you can directly configure access key and secret access key. You have that one way, and another way is directly creating the AWS profile that we just did a step previously. So so it is asking me for the profile. Choose one profile that you want. So okay, I think I need to add that profile. So what I'll do, AWS configure. Okay, it is so AWS configure. AWS secret access key that we copy from here, and then we paste it here. And then it is asking me default region name US-East-1. that is in Virginia region, and output is okay. Hyphen profile. I missed actually. So Amplify. We will add a profile demo Amplify, and fine. So yeah, we will again go and initialize. So it is asking now for the demo profile, and demo profile that I use is demo Amplify, and then it is adding backend environment. Yeah. So this will take a few minutes to deploy. So what it will do, it will basically deploy a CloudFormation stack for us. So a CloudFormation stack will contains our Amplify application configuration. So Amplify, to manage the AWS resources directly, Amplify uses CloudFormation behind the scenes. So when you deploy an Amplify app, it will create a resources for you, and it will automatically generate CloudFormation templates for you and deploy them. And yeah, so help us to improve. Okay. Yeah, so Amplify is now initialized. If we see here, we have an Amplify folder with us. Okay. By running this simple commands, we can Amplify CLI commands, we can interact with our project. But for now, as of now, I'm leaving as it is, and I'm trying to initialize. I'm trying to start the and my React application first. So my React app is just a basic app that does not contain anything till now. Going forward, what I'll do, I'll add an Amplify authentication to my React app, and then we try to authenticate with our Amplify application. So what we will do, using Amplify add auth command, we will deploy Cognito resources that will ask us for the authentication. So that's how we can see the using benefits. We can see we can see the benefits of using Amplify. So let's, and also if we go to the Amplify, let me, go to the USist one. So it is now deployed my demo Amplify application. So this entire application was created. This application was created using CloudFormation. So if we go to the CloudFormation, Amplify deployed CloudFormation stacks for us automatically without needing us to do. So this is the CloudFormation stacks that is just created few minutes back. If you see the details of it, so it is deployed at 21st January 2023. So that's how Amplify manage things for us directly. We do not need to manage anything from us. And then if we see here, so Amplify also deployed a backend environment, that is dev. So what we will do in this dev environment, we will add Amplify authentication. Okay, just a minute. Okay.
Hello, you are on mute.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry, I was speaking on mute. So, yeah. So, going forward, we will add authentication. So, using add auth command, we can directly deploy or cognitive resources. So, what I created using Amplify add auth command, I have added this configuration. That is using Amplify add auth command. Amplify automatically created this demo Amplify application cognitive resource, and once we do Amplify push, once we execute Amplify push command, it will deploy those resources to our cloud environment. So whenever we add a functionality or a feature, like suppose we just added a Amplify auth, so what it do, it will create a folder for that category, and it will create it will generate automatically templates. It will generate templates automatically, and then after generating templates, it contains the configuration that we mentioned using Amplify CLI, and after this steps, it will ask us to push those resources to the cloud. So using Amplify push command, we can directly push our resources to the cloud. So what I'll do, I'll just do Amplify push. So this Amplify push command will push my entire local cloud formation that contains cognitive resources configuration. It will deploy those cloud formation. It is asking me for yes. So if we observe here, it had detected the environment as dev, and it is asking me there is category, that is auth, resource name is this, operation is create, and provider plugin is cloud formation. So I say yes because we want to deploy these resources. So what it will do, it is deploying a root stack, and it is deploying an authentication stack also. So if we go to the Cognito, AWS Cognito service, that is AWS Cognito. So it has automatically created this Cognito resources for us. So if we see here, okay, it is deployed, and there is a Cognito pool that is created for us. And if we see here, it is following a format that is Amplify application name, and then in the last there is a dev, that is our Amplify backend environment. So in the meantime, it is creating. Okay. So any questions do we have till now? Pratik, any questions do we have till now?
Yes, we have a couple of questions. The first one is this same process applied for Windows?
Yeah. So basically, Amplify CLI works similarly on Windows, Mac, or Linux, whatever the operating system do you use. It doesn't depend on OS.
Yes. Okay, and the second question is by Ramakrishnan. He's asking, is Amplify Studio open source or billable?
Yeah, it is billable, because if you use it is actually open source. That is two different questions actually. So yes, Amplify is an open source. AWS is totally open source thing, but the thing is, whatever the resources that you provision as a part of your Amplify application, like if you add Amplify API, and whatever the hits that you make to those API, that will chargeable, because ultimately you are using behind the scenes AWS Lambda or those API functionalities that is offered by AWS. So ultimately you are doing some kind of compute behind the scenes. So those are billable, those are chargeable. But as soon as if you're doing this for the learning purpose, that won't charge much. If you're doing this for learning purpose, that is totally fine. It won't charge you much. But if you go to production, that will definitely cost you. Any other?
No, as of now.
Okay. So it is creating the identity pool, user polls, and it is then uploading files. So what Amplify do, if we see to the S3 buckets, so Amplify also creates an S3 bucket to store the cloud formation and our Amplify application configuration. So if we go to Amplify, so there is an S3 bucket that is created today. If we see here, the files are uploaded, last modified on this timestamp. So this S3 bucket contains the CloudFormation templates and our Amplify application configuration. Whenever we add or modify any functionality, that is, if we add authentication, if we add any geospatial configuration, or if we add any of this services, if we integrate, so whenever we introduce a change to our Amplify application, it creates a CloudFormation template, and when you push those using Amplify push command, it will create a CloudFormation. It will push the CloudFormation template to the S3 bucket. Okay, so it works like that, and then from the S3 bucket, AWS CloudFormation will take those templates and call the create and update operation accordingly. Fine. So the Amplify authentication has been added. So going forward, what we will do is going forward we will call the authentication APIs from our application.js file. So this is the basic React application. This is not containing anything much. So what I do, I just add a hello for now, hello from AWS UG Indore. Fine. So yeah. So after doing all those entire configuration, just a minute, give me a moment please. So after doing all those configuration, adding authentication to our app, I'll just call these, I'll make these changes to my application.js file. So I'm just copying this from here, and just to make this session simpler, I'm following the AWS documentation so that it will be easier for you also. Okay. So I'll add this lines to my package add these lines to my app.js file, and then what I do is I call these APIs. Okay, sign in and sign up operation. Just a minute. So I make these changes. I make these basic changes to my Amplify app. So I also need to install this Amplify UI packages. So for that, Amplify, as I mentioned earlier, Amplify also offers UI components. So what I do, I first install those UI components for React. So I'm installing those UI components using npm install AWS Amplify AWS Amplify /UI React. So it will install all those React component that is offered from AWS. So it is installing those components. Yeah. Okay, so I'll open terminal over here. Fine. And any other questions, Pratik, till now?
No.
Okay. Do you have any questions?
No, currently not.
Okay. Fine. So it is installing those React components. Okay, so what we will do, we'll just call those components from our app.js, and we were then able to configure authentication. So it is taking a bit of time. In the meantime, if you do have any questions, just post to the live chat. I apologize for the bit of background noise. Yeah. So the required packages are installed now. So what I do, I just copy this code and add this to my app.js. Okay. So I had copied this code. Just a minute. So I'll just copy this required code, that is this function app component function, and I add it here, and then we need to add this export function below. So we need to export this. Going forward, I think we are good to go. So we also need to import the with authenticator and this thing. So yeah, it's already there. So now we will go and run the npm. We will go and run the application using npm start command. So it is starting the development server. So I made a few of changes just to show you. It is still starting the development server. It takes a bit of time actually, because we are initializing our application for the very first time. That's why it is taking time, because we just installed the packages, and that's why. Fine. There is an error. Okay. Import body is on the top. Okay. Okay. So this is okay. I think okay. So now our application is ready. So it is asking me. If I summarize this, so what it had done, it has just initialized the application, and this entire UI thing, this component that is sign in and create account thing, that is entirely this is the managed code. We have just installed the Amplify UI React packages, and this UI component is directly visible to us because we are calling this from here. Okay, so this with authenticator and this with authenticator is a UI component which is stored in this library. This library is developed by AWS, and it is managed thing. So what I do, I just create an account. So let me create an account, that is Prithvi, and then I enter the password, that is so the password must match. Sorry, I made mistake. Okay, so it is asking me to enter the email. So I enter the email as AWS community in the, and then I do create account. So what it do, it will send a verification code to this email ID, and I go to the email ID, and let's see if we did received or not. So we received a code here. I'll type this code directly there, and then we are good to go. So confirm this code. So it is created my account. Yeah, and it is just logged me in. So it is showing me this hello Prithvi from AWS UG. So if we summarize this thing, what it do, the time actually required to build the authentication logic, the time required to build those code verification thing, integrating the messaging service and those things. So those things we do not need to directly manage. Amplify did entire thing, developed entire thing for us. We just had to add Amplify authentication using Amplify add command, add auth command, and then we push the changes. So this is the magic of Amplify. This is the simplicity, this is the flexibility and reliability that Amplify bring to the developer's life, because it takes a little time or less time to make your application, to build your application. We just need to follow simpler steps that is mentioned in the AWS documentation. So that's how Amplify is simpler thing. It does not require any kind of like, we do not need any cloud expertise or something, because earlier if we see traditional applications, in traditional application we do need to have a server DevOps engineer, and because they deploy our app, they manage they manage your servers, they deploy nginx, they manage server, they manage their security. But with Amplify, since Amplify it is a serverless thing, we do not need to manage those things directly. That is entirely managed by internally Amplify service. So that's the magic that Amplify brings. So this is how Amplify works. So till now we have created this application on the local host. Going forward, we will deploy this application to the Amplify. So what I do, I just I just push this application to my GitHub account. So okay, so I do git status. So git add dot git commit -m created app, and then going forward I will, so this is our repository name. Okay, and so demo -app. Okay, so I just do git push origin, fine. So it is uploaded the entire code to my GitHub repository. Yeah, so it has deployed the code to my GitHub repository. Going forward, I'll host the application. So I'll host my React app on Amplify. So to do that, I'll go to GitHub. I do create. So it is asking me to authorize. Yes, I want to authorize. So it is asking me to select. Okay, so GitHub app is not installed. So we need to first install and authorize. Just give me a minute. I'm going to enter the credentials. So I'm stopping the screen share for a moment. Okay, I'll do the screen share again. I'm entering the credentials, so that's why I stopped the screen share. So I just added the credential there and initialized the Amplify to with the GitHub. So it is authenticated with the GitHub, and there I see there is a demo app. So what I do, I just check this application, that is demo app, that is that we created, and then I select the branch, that is the branch, and then I do next. So if I do next, it is asking me, okay, select a backend environment. So backend environment is dev. Okay, and then enable full stack continuous development. Yes. Okay, and then no roles found. So create a role. So Amplify requires a role to call the services on your behalf. So I created the role, and then so I configure the role. So as mentioned earlier, as I mentioned earlier, that Amplify looks for the package.json, and it then identifies the version of your application. Let's say if you're using any other framework such as Vue.js, Angular, or Flutter, or any other framework. So it actually checks the package.json and it looks for it. And then it, after checking the version, it will create this build spec automatically for you. So what it is doing is it is doing npm CI, and then after building, it is running the command that is amplify run build, and after it is uploading, and after doing that, it is uploading the artifact that is stored in build folder, and then it is doing that. So in case of Angular, in case of build artifacts are stored in dist folder, that is distribution folder, dist folder. So Amplify, so this is totally managed by Amplify, because Amplify automatically checks, and it automatically intelligently looks at your package.json to identify what kind of framework you are using. So in this case, it is identified the framework, that is my framework is React, and build settings, auto detected settings will be used. So it is automatically detected the version, it is automatically detected the framework that I'm using. So this is how the Amplify works. Like, you do not need to manage anything from yourself. Going forward, I do save and deploy. So it is deploying my Amplify application. Any questions?
Yeah, we are having some questions. The first one is by Ajay Singh Sethi. Is asking, what is the difference between console and studio in Amplify?
Console and studio and Amplify. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so Amplify Console is the UI that you are seeing right now is Amplify Console, right? You see there is your repository setting. You see there is an environment. You see there is domain management, build setting, access control, environment variable. So this is the basic that we first interact to your application, that is console. Amplify, that is console. Going forward, if we need to have this UI to model our application, and to model our like what we say database, to model our database and data. So to do this from UI, we use Amplify UI Studio. So Amplify UI Studio offers UI components, and we can directly add users to it. So that is for actually team management. If we have a team of developers, so we can give access to them, so that they can log into our they can log into their studio, and they can make changes to Amplify application. That is how it works. So Amplify Studio is a visual development environment, actually, as mentioned here. So there is also we can define backend APIs, and we can add authentication directly from there also, and we can manage our app content. We can add content, we can manage content, we can model relationships. So those things we can do using Amplify Studio. Any other question?
Yes, Akash is asking, sir, how things are edited in real time on front end, back end database?
How things are edited in real time? Like, can you please elaborate a bit, Ajay?
Akash.
So if you are, yeah, sorry, Akash. So if you, generally, whenever we make any changes locally to using Amplify CLI, and when we do Amplify push, so Amplify manage and update all those resources directly, and and then in front end, like if we make any changes to any front end application and we push the changes to the GitHub repository, it automatically triggers the CI/CD. Okay, and then it deploys the changes. And let's say if you have made changes to the backend, then you can directly do Amplify push. So this is how it works, actually.
Okay, the next question is from Sonali. She's asking, are prices different region by region for Amplify?
Yeah, it differs, but not much. It differs actually, but not much. You can check the AWS official documentation and pricing.
Yeah. And Ramakrishnan asking, can AWS Amplify use it for any of the applications like Java or only for React.js?
No, you can develop iOS applications as well. You can develop Android and Flutter applications as well. So there are wide supported frameworks with Amplify. You can check for the AWS documentation. It is not only that it only supports React or Vue, it supports a lot of frameworks.
Okay. We have one more question from Nayan. He's asking, is AWS Amplify cost optimized over EC2 instances and S3 bucket? How AWS Amplify charges us?
So actually, AWS Amplify, when you build an application, that is in our case, we are building a React application. So what it do, it creates an artifact, it uploads those artifacts to the S3 buckets, and then it points it. Okay, so it charged very less. Okay, but in case of EC2, you deploy a server that is running for continuously for 24/7 hours. So there is also associated compute charges with that. So EC2 hosting is bit chargeable, is much chargeable in terms of as compared to Amplify. So it had deploy the CI/CD runs successfully, and it had deployed the Amplify application. So going forward, I'm sharing this link with you guys. So Pratik, I'm sharing the